if I made that understandable. John Coleman says, do they really make V4 outboards, or are they I4s or L4s? As a hobby mechanic for 28 years, that has always been a cringe word for me. Yeah, so yeah, the L4s or the I4s, I mean, I guess, yeah, that's kind of cringe because really it's an I-fork. It's an inline 4 or an inline 6. And then your V4 or V6 or V8. But yeah, they make V4s and inline 4s for sure. Like old two-strokes, most of the old two-strokes, 115s, 130s, 90s. A lot of those were a V4, which is, it's a V4. It's a V engine. And then now most of the 150s, 200s, 4 cylinders are all inline, which is an I4. But if we're talking about Mercury, everybody calls it an L6 for an inline 6. So, yeah, I mean, I feel you there to a point. I mean, it's funny because you start saying all these different things and it's like, what are you really talking about? Depending on who you're talking about, how are they using a word? What are you really saying? Because they might be using something that they don't really know what they're saying, and kind of hard to decipher sometimes, but that's just what it be. NWRX says, with muffs on engine running, is the lower end unit supposed to get warm like hot? Would that be normal? Back to using words, it depends on how hot are we talking about. Like, what is hot? What are you saying? Like, if you think about the lower unit, your exhaust comes down out of the engine, and your exhaust is going to be hot. It's the bypass, it's fire, is heat, it's the exhaust. So it's going to be hot. That comes out through the exhaust. It comes out through the prop. So with the engine on the muffs, you're only getting that water to cool it, but the exhaust is coming out of there, so it's going to be heating it up. Like if you look at older two-strokes, older Johns and stuff like that, you'll notice like the paint's melted on some of them, and like it's like all black, and like you can tell a discoloration on the lower units and the drive shaft housing coming down from the exhaust, making it hot. So depending on what we're saying here, like if you're saying hot, like you got frictions in your gears and like things, like the lower units getting like you've got a heat problem, then no, that wouldn't be good. But yeah, it's gonna get warm. I don't know about hot, so I'm gonna say that's normal depending on what we're talking about here. But yeah, I'm gonna say it's normal. And last question, we're gonna go with Boater's Hub. He says, "Hey Aaron, hello Boater's Hub. How about fixing a dinged up propeller? Not much info on props." Yeah, props are really, I don't really do a lot of fixing like that. I mean, it depends on what kind of ding we're talking about here. Like if it's just bent and you can bend it back, that's really, the highest I go. But if you got a chip out of it, then, it needs to be welded and then ground back down. And depending on how expensive or how nice this prop is, then is it worth really doing that or just replacing the prop? And then also depending on, the bend or whatnot, like if it's all jacked up, like an unbalanced prop can cause you problems. So like if you have an unbalanced prop, like let's say you got a ding or a bend over here, like if one ear is bent, it's going to create a vibration that can cause you problems. It can mess up your prop shaft seals. It can create a vibration in the engine. You can have problems created from a unbalanced or a bent propeller. So really, as far as fixing them, like I'll bend them back and kind of get them pretty close. But if there's chips and stuff out of it, then on that one, you got to take it to a prop shop that then welds it and then grinds it down and then balances it. So like, they balance them. So there's not a whole lot you can do depending on how bad the prop is. So if you like this clip, you can watch the full podcast over here, or you can watch another clip over here.